All right. So today being the orientation session, what we are going to do is we are going to understand the syllabus slightly in detail. And then the first topic that we are supposed to cover, that is Python, is something that we will start with. Again, because today is our first session, you can say bit of an orientation session. So that is why we'll try and keep this short. But yes, as and when we proceed, we will try to have some more, time, and we will try to learn these things in a comprehensive manner. Today, just because it's the first session, we'll try to keep it short and sweet. But as and when we proceed, we will be actually having some more time with us. So, having said that, let us start. So, in our demo session that we had few days back, over there we saw what exactly do we mean by artificial intelligence, and we understood what are the types of artificial intelligence. All of these things we were able to understand. I'll be reiterating those as and when we proceed, as and when required. But for the time being, this is something that we know. Now, what happens is when you try and get into data science, there are a lot of things that we need to cover. And people in the industry or outside as well say a lot of times that data science is difficult just by looking at the syllabus. And even if you look at your syllabus, apparently it would look heavy. But there is a proper way to learn something. And if you follow that channelized manner, what happens is learning becomes fun. And additionally, what happens is when you do anything in a structured manner, your burden will deteriorate, substantially deteriorate, right? So that is what we are going to learn about. In the very first session today, I'll be giving you a roadmap that you are supposed to work on. And if we follow this roadmap, which we will be in our course, what happens is you will be able to, get into this industry very smoothly without facing much of challenges, right? So let us start. Let me just connect my tab and let us start discussing about these. So yes. So what happens is whenever we start with this data science, artificial intelligence, generative artificial intelligence, we need to keep that diagram which I gave you in the demo session. This diagram, it is essential for us to keep in mind. This is artificial intelligence. Inside that, we have a subset called machine learning. Inside machine learning, we have another subset called deep learning, DL, and then the core integral aspect. This is your Gen AI. So keeping this base diagram in mind, we will try to deconstruct our syllabus, or you can say we will try to create a roadmap for us that we will try and follow throughout this period of time. And we will see how exactly it is going to benefit us, right? So the very first thing that one needs to understand is Python. Okay. Now, why do we need to learn Python? Simple reason is when we try and talk about Python, what happens is this is actually going to act as a medium of communication. Okay. Python is a programming language, and it is something which will help us in creating a connect between the AI world, you can say, and between we people. So between people like you and me and between the program, between the computer that we are going to operate with, this Python is going to create a medium of communication. Okay. So the very first thing one needs to learn is Python. Okay. Once we get into Python, you will see that there are different dimensions of Python. For example, there is core Python, there is advanced Python, there is Python which is required for data science and AI, right? So all those things are supposed to be taken care of. And after Python, you will find that we will enter into a subject called statistics, right? Now, statistics as a subject becomes very important again. Why? Because we are talking about data science, we are talking about artificial intelligence. And here, the most important thing, the hero of the show is nothing but a set of data. If you have good data with you, if you can interpret data nicely, then more than half of your job is done. If you are somebody who is good with data, if you are somebody who can play around with data, then data science becomes actually interesting for you. And again,
Uh,
that
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I'm not sure if it's on my side, but you're cutting out a little bit.
okay, let me just cross check. Let me cross check. Is it better now? Or just allow me 1 minute. Let me just check from my side. I'll be back in a minute. Just a minute. Now I think it would be better.
Yeah, it's better now. It's stable. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So we were discussing about the importance of statistics, and we understood that it is essential for us to focus on statistics because it, as a subject, is going to act as base for us. And if we are people who are good with statistics, it becomes interesting for us to learn more about data and data science. Okay. So that is what statistics is. And again, need not worry. If you are a person who knows statistics, no issues. If you are somebody who is going to learn statistics for the first time, then also it's not a challenge because we are going to cover everything from scratch. Okay. So it won't be a challenge for us. Now, once we are good with statistics, the next thing that we work on is data visualization. Okay. We work on something known as data visualization. That means simply converting the raw data into some graph, into some charts, okay, which we can further interpret, we can derive insights and make some decisions. So that is the reason why data visualization becomes very important. Here, what essentially happens is the data which you have, the raw data, okay, that can be in the form of an Excel sheet, that can be in the form of, some CSV files, right? That data you will try to convert in some graphs, and those graphs you will later on try to interpret. Okay. Again, with respect to data visualization, we people have a lot of, what should I say, a lot of tools out there. For example, there is this tool called Tableau, a very famous and useful tool for data visualization. Another very famous tool is known as Microsoft Power BI. That is also used for data visualization. But for us, in the initial discussion, we'll focus on data visualization using Python. Okay. So here again, you will find that Python as a friend will help you for making some basic visualizations. Again, our area of focus will not be Tableau. It will not be Power BI. Why? Because Tableau and Power BI are data visualization tools, no doubt about that, but they are primarily used for the purpose of dashboarding. And dashboarding or reporting is a core, I should say, day in, day out job of a data analyst. So that is how we differentiate between a data analyst and a data scientist also, right? So for us, that data visualization is important, but for that, we can use Python primarily, right? Had it been a data analytics course, I would have taken care of these topics like Power BI and Tableau as well, right? So this is what we do after statistics. Now, there is a reason why we try and keep statistics before data visualization. Because when I say data visualization, we are not just talking about generating visuals from raw data. I just don't want to create a bar chart or let's say a histogram from some, you know, a random Excel sheet. That is not just the purpose of data visualization. The purpose of data visualization is something beyond that. You are going to generate graph. You are going to generate visualization, no doubt about that. But along with those visualization, you are somebody who is supposed to work on the insights as well. Okay. You would have seen people, they say data is the new oil. People, they say data is the new electricity. So what does it mean? It simply means that when you talk about data and its vast capabilities, generating insight from the data becomes utmost essential. We live in a world right now where we are generating so much of data, right? Even for that matter, the call that we are in right now, even in this call, we are generating humongous amount of data. And it is essential for us to use this data for our benefit. So people say data is the new oil or data is the new electricity because from this data, we can generate a lot of insights. And those insights can actually help us in making some decisions for our organization. People say, or not people exactly, organizations, they say that they are data driven in nature. For example, Deloitte, it says that it is a data-driven organization. Why is it saying that it is a data-driven organization? Because the decisions that are made at Deloitte, they are not just made by the so-called board of directors and the presidents, the vice presidents. It is made on the basis of what data has to say, right? So that is the power of data, which we will be able to leverage once we are good with both statistics and data visualization. Data visualization will help us in generating the graph, obviously. And how do you interpret that graph? How do you read that graph is something which statistics will help you in understanding, right? So that is why first we cover statistics. Then beyond that, we get into data visualization. After data visualization, we get into one of the most important topics of our syllabus, which is referred to as machine learning. Now, machine learning in itself is having a lot of weightage, not just in your syllabus. In real-time organization, in real-time project building also. Machine learning, as we've already understood in the past, machine learning is a building block of artificial intelligence. Machine learning is, you can say, artificial intelligence in practice. And when we talk about machine learning, you will find that here we'll talk about a lot of algorithms which will eventually help us in creating some models. Now, when I say models, I refer to them as prototypes. Okay. We are going to create multiple prototypes by the name of multiple projects coming from different domains. Let's say healthcare, education, finance, insurance, multiple sectors. And then we will see how exactly machine learning can benefit us, right? We will try and talk about different types of machine learning that are there. For example, there is something known as supervised machine learning, unsupervised machine learning, reinforcement machine learning. We will try to understand how do they differentiate from one another. All of these things, once we are good with, then what happens is we are able to leverage the power properly. So these things we are going to work on. These algorithms we are going to learn, and they will incorporate an element of mathematics here. Okay. Now, why is it important for us to focus on the mathematical aspect of machine learning algorithms? Is because until and unless we as individuals or we as developers understand the mathematics behind any algorithm, we will not be able to appreciate that algorithm, and we will not be able to use that algorithm to its fullest potential. So, in order to understand the algorithm, we need to understand the maths behind that algorithm, which I refer to as intuition behind that algorithm, right? So we'll try and focus on the mathematical aspect. Again, for those of you who are from non-maths background or who fear mathematics, need not worry. It will be easy. And whatever is relevant, we'll just talk about that much. Unnecessarily burdening you is not my, purpose. So whatever is required and how much is required, we'll just focus on that much, right? So that is machine learning for you. Now, what happens is this is, or I should say, this was a challenge in front of the researchers also when they were working on this entire machine learning concept, right? What was the challenge? These researchers, they realized that after a point of time, the kind of data that we deal in or the complexity of data that we deal in, it actually changes. Okay. So what happens is conventional machine learning algorithms might not be able to help you. They might not be sufficient. And that is the reason why you will find that after machine learning, we come to this point called deep learning. So machine learning, after that, we'll get into something known as deep learning, right? Now, it is essential for us to understand the difference between machine learning and deep learning, which obviously we will do in our subsequent discussions. But for the time being today, you need to understand the difference in the data that we deal in when it comes to machine learning and how is it different from that of deep learning. Because some time back we were discussing about statistics. We were discussing about, the need of data and how with the help of data, these organizations they claim themselves to, be data driven in nature, right? So we'll try to understand how machine learning and deep learning differ from each other on the basis of data as a common factor. But before that, any questions if we have till now, you guys can please ask me. Any doubts?
Uh, so far, I'm good. Like, I understood everything you explained.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Scholar, are we good? I couldn't hear you if you're saying something. So sorry, Scholar, you're not properly audible to me. Maybe you can use the chat box if you have any questions, right? Or maybe if you are good, you can let me know, right? In the meantime, let us continue. So, machine learning and deep learning. There are multiple points or there are multiple parameters on top of which we can differentiate between machine learning and deep learning. But for the time being, for today, we will take data as a parameter, and via data, we will try to understand how machine learning and deep learning they differ, right? And because this is data science, we need to know more about data, right? So just a minute. Yeah, let's try to understand data better. When we say data, okay, you will find that this data can be classified into two groups. There is something known as structured data, okay? There's something known as structured data, structured minute data, and then there is something known as unstructured data, right? By structured data, I mean the data that we can store in the form of rows and columns, right? In the form of rows and columns. So something if we can store in the form of rows and columns, we try and refer them as structured data. For example, your Excel sheets. For example, your CSV files. They are all referred to as structured data, right? And when it comes to unstructured data, you'll find that they are data that we cannot essentially store in the form of rows and columns. For example, data which is, let's say, JPEG in format. That means images or PNG images, right? Data that is, let's say, audio or let's say songs, right? In format. You can say videos, right? So these are the type of data that we normally generate these days a lot. And unfortunately, we cannot store them in the form of rows and columns. Unfortunately, we cannot store them as a data. Okay. So data, I mean, structured data, unfortunately, we cannot store them as a structured data, right? So that is the reason why they are classified into unstructured data category. And for us, it is essential to understand that when it comes to machine learning, this machine learning will be used on top of structured data. So this is where machine learning will be useful. And When it comes to unstructured data, this is where primarily you will find that we will be making use of deep learning as a concept, right? So when you are dealing with unstructured data, you will use deep learning concepts. When you are dealing with structured data, you will use machine learning concepts. Now, there are like exceptions to this, but for the time being, for the initial few discussions, we'll keep this as our analogy. Slowly and steadily, when we build, you will find that there are some small little exceptions to this also, but that will come later on. For the time being, we can safely understand that data is classified into two groups, structured and unstructured. By structured, I mean CSV files, Excel sheets, JSON file, all of these. And unstructured is images, videos, audio, stuff like that, right? And in order to deal with unstructured data, we follow deep learning. In order to, work with structured data, we use machine learning, right? This is what we have to understand. So the researchers also, while working, they realized that to a certain extent, machine learning is something which can help us, but beyond a certain limit, when data changes its nature, then machine learning is not something which will be capable to handle the adversities that can come with data. So that is the reason why they started working on deep learning. And deep learning will itself, you know, guide us towards generative AI. In deep learning, we try and learn about a lot of concepts. For example, in deep learning, we will try and talk about something known as neural networks. We try and talk about something known as, again, neural networks are of different types. Primarily, three types of neural networks are there. There is something known as artificial neural network. There is something known as convolution neural network. There is something known as recurrent neural network, right? So in deep learning, we talk about neural networks. We will dive into all of them as and when we proceed. So each type of neural network, the type of architecture, the use cases, the kind of projects you can work on, the way you can demonstrate them in real time, all of these things we'll try and work on, need not worry. But beyond neural network, in deep learning, we try and talk about something known as computer vision. Okay, computer vision. We try and talk about something known as natural language processing. Natural language processing, which is in short abbreviated as NLP, right? So that is natural language processing for you. Computer vision is there, right? And then you'll find that beyond all of these, we've got something known as, uh, just a minute. Yeah. So beyond all of these, we've got something known as generative AI. So deep learning is there, neural networks, computer vision, natural language processing. And when we try to dive deeper into these, okay, when we try to dive deeper into these, you will find that we will enter into the realm of generative AI. Okay. So from here, we try and get into the most recent advancement that has happened in the past. And that is nothing but our generative AI. So, where exactly in this timeline do we have generative AI coming in play is something that you will be able to understand now. So this circle that you see now is generative AI. And this generative AI will have two very important components. We will have something known as GAN, and we will have something known as LLMs, right? GAN stands for generative adversarial networks, and LLMs, they are referred to as large language models, right? So these two components, they together constitute something known as generative AI. And once we have a comprehensive understanding of these concepts, what happens is we are able to create data-driven solutions. We are able to monitor them on a regular interval, and we are also able to scale them as and when required, right? So this, in a short glimpse, you can see as your roadmap towards data science, generative AI, or in short, I can say full stack data science. Now, you'll find that there are some add-ons to these. Okay. There are some add-ons to these. For example, you will see people, they work on something known as, you know, ML ops. You will see people, they work on something known as cloud computing, right? So ML ops is there. Parallelly, we've got something known as cloud computing, right? By the way, in our course also, we've got cloud computing covered, right? So why do we need this? Okay. That is basically a point that one needs to emphasize on. What happens is after the end of this course, after the end of this program, you can call yourself as a certified full stack data scientist. Now, there is a clear cut distinction between a data scientist and a full stack data scientist. The distinction is in the level of expertise that these two people they hold at an individual level. When I talk about a full stack data scientist, that person will be somebody who will be able to create a prototype and will also be able to deploy that prototype. If I talk about your classical data scientist, okay, or for that matter, only a person who is a machine learning engineer, that person will be good with creating the prototype, but he or she might not be able to deploy that nicely because in order to deploy, you will have to have the working knowledge of cloud or MLOps or both, right? By the way, MLOps is machine learning operations where you try and learn how exactly you are supposed to deploy the products or for that matter the prototypes that you are designing, right? And cloud platforms, we do understand there are multiple cloud platforms out there. For example, there is your GCP, Google Cloud Platform. There is this AWS, Amazon Web Services, and then there is your Azure from Microsoft, right? Apart from them, there are other competitors also, but these are the giants that we see out there in the market. right? So cloud becomes important, or MLOps becomes important, because we are living in a generation right now where people, they just don't need to learn how to create a prototype. They are also expected to deploy that prototype. And when I say deploy the prototype, what does it mean? For example, we people, we use Instagram, right? Instagram is a deployed product. We use Facebook. Facebook is a deployed product. We use so many other applications that integrate a lot of AI features, right? We use them in the form of mobile applications. We use them in the form of some websites, something. So the final product which the end user is going to make use of is basically referred to as a deployed product or a deployed prototype, right? So just creating a prototype is not what we are looking for. We are also looking for the end result, which the user can actually interact with. Okay. So that is the reason why you will find that people, they will also get into these areas. They will also try to explore cloud or MLOps, or maybe both, right? So this, in a nutshell, is our roadmap that we'll try and follow comprehensively in these coming months. And we take this good, sweet time of ours to complete this syllabus, because the syllabus is slightly in depth. It's comprehensive in nature. And that is the reason why it will take us some time. But the good part is, when we get into this, when we start working on this, you will find this very interesting. And because all of them are somehow interrelated to each other, you will find that this is not just interesting, this will actually help you to look at the world from a different dimension. And that is what I am trying to aim at. Now, as part of challenge, what happens is, because the syllabus is quite heavy, for us as learners, retaining so many things in mind itself becomes a challenge, right? So in order to cater this, what we do is we try to integrate something known as sectional mocks. Okay. I don't know whether I discussed about sectional mocks and their importance in the last session or not, but even if I did, I'll just quickly reiterate myself. When it comes to learning something, that too, when you are not from this background, for example, I have been in this background for the last 10 years. So for me, it's not a difficult task to learn something new that is somehow related to this. But for a person who has never gone into this, for that matter, it might become a challenge, right? So that is why when it comes to learning these concepts, we will have to put in some extra effort. And that is what I'm looking for from you people. We will integrate sectional mocks, we will integrate regular assignments, and this actually is going to help you in recalling these concepts. Okay. Multiple revisions are required. And once you are good with multiple revisions, you will see that these concepts will directly start flowing in your brain. You don't have to put in extra efforts as such, right? So what we will do is we will try and cover some 2, 3 topics. And once we are good with these topics, I'll be giving you some period of time to, let's say, um, reiterate on those topics. I'll give you some time to practice those topics. And then we will have a sectional mock, right? After this sectional mock, you will have a different dimension of looking at the subject, because the topics that we would have covered, you would also have been able to cover that. And I'll just give you a simple example. Let's say in the first sectional mock, I'll ask you questions from Python. Okay. In the second sectional mock, I'll ask you questions from Python and statistics. So we are learning something new, but we are not leaving out this topic, which was covered earlier. We are not leaving out on this topic. We are not leaving this behind. So we are covering this also. So it is becoming comprehensive. In sectional mock 2, sorry, 3, we'll try and talk about Python. We'll try and talk about statistics. We'll try and talk about data visualization, right? This is just a prototype. I'm just making you understand what do I mean by sectional mock and how in the long run it is going to benefit you, right? This won't be the exact syllabus. It would change in real time, but just to give you an understanding, I'm taking this example, right? So multiple sectional mocks we will try and run in this entire duration of 7, 8 months that we have. And this will actually help you in solidifying your concepts. This will actually help you in, retaining these concepts for a very long time, right? And this is how this so-called heavy looking syllabus will be deconstructed, will be broken down into chunks, and that is how we'll be able to conquer this, right? So this is in a nutshell what you can expect out of me and what we are trying to deliver through this program. Any specific doubts do we have till now? Scholar or Jaspreet, any questions do we have?
I guess it's all good now. Like I have a clear vision now. Like what can we expect from this course?
Mhm.
All
Okay,
good this side.
okay, okay. So again, that was exactly my motive also, because once we know everything right from day one, it makes us comfortable and it gives us a way forward, like what all is possible and what all can we expect, right? So we need not stay in hallucination at all.
Exactly.
Yeah, fine, fair enough. So what we can do next is, how much time do we have for today? We'll keep it short. In the next 15 minutes I'll try to wind up, and from next week onwards we will try to start getting into these concepts one by one. So next week Saturday we'll try and talk about the first topic, which is Python as a programming language, and we'll see how is it going to benefit us, right? For today, what else we can do is we can talk about this. Let me just show you. Okay, just allow me a minute. Let me have a look. Okay. All right. So in the last class, by last class I mean the demonstration session that we had a few days back, we talked about generative AI, and we talked about the different areas in which generative AI can be used. For example, using generative AI, we can perform text to text. Using generative AI, we can do text to image. That means images can be generated. Then text to video is something which is possible. Text to audio is possible. Okay. And text to code is something that we can work on, right? Now, again, obviously, there are more operations that we can perform. For the time being, I'm focusing on these, right? Now, what happens is for all of these operations, I had given you some names also. For example, while talking about text to text, we understood that the best examples for these can be ChatGPT from OpenAI, or it can be Google Gemini, right? These are the best in the market right now. Apart from that, text to image is something that we can generate by using OpenAI DALI, or we can use Stable Diffusion, or we can use Midjourney, right? Again, there are more names associated, but for the time being, we should know just two, three names. That is more than sufficient. Text to video, for this, we can use again OpenAI Sora, but the problem is Sora is not, uh, I should say, commercial right now. It is still under its beta stage. So we will have to wait for some time before we can actually see what Sora is capable of doing. Along with Sora, we've got something known as Gen 2, Gen 3 from a platform from an organization called Runway that also helps us in creating realistic, very, very realistic videos that are actually generated by some text prompt. Okay. For text to audio, a very good platform is Wally. And then text to code, the best possible example is that of your GitHub Copilot, right? And again, guys, these are just few names. There are other many models out there which one can use and learn. But just to list down few of them, I have given you this set of terminologies, right? Now, what we can do is, because we have some time, I'll quickly give you an overview of Sora and Gen 3 also, right? Obviously, we won't be able to work on them, but I just want to show you and make you interested in this domain of generative AI. That's why I'll try and show you the end product right now so that you are able to understand how powerful these are and how realistic they can be. So we just need to go to Google and we need to search for OpenAI Sora. This link that you see will bring you to OpenAI Sora platform, and just scroll down and look at these examples. This lady, she is actually a non-existential character. She is completely generated by artificial intelligence. Just look at her, look at the cloth that she is wearing, and look at the background, look at the graphics. If I don't tell you that this is AI generated, it's possible that you might fail to understand that this is a product of artificial intelligence. This is what Sora can do. Just look at the clarity of these images, these videos. Hmm, exactly. It's very realistic, right? This is what we can expect in near future. Same way, let's have another example. Look at this. Just observe the detailing, the kind of detailing that it has to offer, whether it is with respect to the background or with respect to the animal in front of you, right? Same way, observe this. It looks as if this has been shot on a drone, but this actually is AI generated. It looks as if it has been shot on a drone, but it is AI generated. Look at these waves. Look at these, stones, these rocks that we have. Hmm. Observe this.
Oh, okay. Yeah, thank you.
Right? So you can explore this further. You can have a look at the other examples which Sora has to show you. Let me also show you in the meantime Gen 3, and you will parallelly be able to compare between OpenAI Sora and Runway Gen 3. Parallelly, you will be able to compare. So here I can say Runway Gen 3. This is a recent release, Gen 3 Alpha, and you will see that how exactly Runway as a platform is also helping us in creating AI-based videos. Observe these. They are all AI generated people, AI generated visuals. Let me show you this example. This actually is very beautiful. Acha, sometime back, I told you guys that we are going to generate video from text. So what text are we using here in order to create this visual? This text. Cinematic animal documentary showing a polar bear sleeping in a lavender field, afternoon daytime lighting, and ambient illumination, detailed face, strong emotions. So this is the text which is used to generate this as an output video. Same way, observe this.
Okay.
A yellow bird sitting on a branch in a lush jungle with a thick rainforest in the background with mist. This is the text which helps us in generating this as an output video. This looks something, coming directly out of some Tom Cruise movie, but actually is an AI generated landscape. And again, how do you generate this landscape video? By this simple text, which guides the machine to create this video. So we just got to say we glide effortlessly down the slide of a cliff, moving at a breathtaking hyperspeed pace. So this is actually interesting. Multiple examples they are to offer. You guys can explore this further. and see what all capabilities it has to offer. So Runway is there, and we have our OpenAI Sora, right? Apart from that, when we proceed, I'll show you image generating models like Midjourney, Stable Diffusion, DALI. I'll show you, obviously, our very friendly ChatGPT, Gemini, how to use them, how to leverage their power. All of these things we'll try and learn as and when we proceed. But for the time being, for today, this introduction might have helped you in understanding the roadmap, and it would also have helped you in generating some sort of curiosity and interest in this subject on a whole, right? So we'll keep it till here for today. Any questions, if you have, you can please ask me. Otherwise, we'll conclude. Any questions do we have, guys?
No, like in the beginning, like really had so many doubts, but it was really good orientation.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was I got to learn so much cool stuff already. I'm so I'm like so motivated now.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much. Scholar, anything from your side? Do we have any doubts?
No, I'm sorry. I was in transit most of the time, so
Okay.
I'll just have I took screenshots of the structures you designed on the screen. So I'll
Mhm.
just go through it later. But I was on the sub. I was literally on transit. I was coming back from a shift from up here.
Okay, no problem. What
Thank
we'll do
you.
is I'll like share this recording also. The session is getting recorded. So the recording of this session will also be uploaded in maybe half an hour or maybe 1 hour from now. And you can
Okay.
access those recordings. I would highly recommend you guys to download those recordings in your system, because I frequently try and clear my Google Drive. So it's possible that I might delete those videos also. So that's why you can keep it safe with you in your system, download them, keep it with you, and you can just go through it as many times as you want. So the recordings would be shared. You can go through it. And in case you have any questions, you can either ask me in the group that we have, or when we meet next, you can definitely ask me your questions. And we formally start with your syllabus on next Saturday, and we'll start with Python, as I mentioned. So that is how it would go on, right?
All right.
Yeah. Yeah, Jasprit, you're saying something?
No, I said all right. Like it's all
Okay.
good. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. 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 Fine then. So let's keep it till here for today. Thank you everyone for joining.
Yeah, it was so amazing. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.